Of your reel, to the rods, to the anglers, to the lures on the end of your hook. Let's talk about those big bass here on Co-Angler's Corner with your hosts, Rob Welch and John Stoudinger.
Good evening, everybody. I'm John, and unfortunately, Rob's not making it yet. He may still be at work, but when he comes in, we'll pop him up and bring him into the show. Tonight's guest is, one of the reasons why I wanted to bring him on is he's an excellent man. He's an excellent fisherman. And he also works with Barbelli up in New York as far as teaching people how to fizz fish, supplying fizz kits and all that. So I wanted to bring, this was actually before he became Angler of the Year this year in the Toyota Series, Kyle Cortiana. And let's bring him on and talk to him a little bit about what he's doing and how he's doing and go from there. Hello, sir.
Hey, John. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. And yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. I'm back here in Oklahoma where it's hot and miserable. And I know I got a hoodie on, but my video, I had a white shirt on, and it was so vibrant on the video that I just grabbed the first dark shirt I could find, and it was a hoodie. But it's really hot here. I miss New York.
Well, you don't this week. It's in the 60s and rainy.
I don't know. It's like 110 and not rainy here most of the time. So 60s and rain sounds okay.
Hey, did you before we get talking about you, did you see what happened over the past weekend in New York?
No, I don't think so.
We had a 27-something pound bag on Saturday, which broke the New York State single day tournament record for Federation or Bass Nation. Okay. And then on Sunday, Dante, I can't pronounce his last name and I don't want to butcher it.
I know you're talking about it.
Yeah, he brought it. He's a young hammer. He brought in a 30-pound bag in the Federation.
So and broke it again.
Broke it again the next day. Yeah. If he'd come in a day earlier, it'd have been probably around 10, 15 grand. Yeah, New York State Bass Nation holds money out of every tournament to put towards the record.
Yeah.
But the highlight of it was he brought in a 9-pounder. 9-pound Somali.
So is that a record?
Possibly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because I thought the standing record was like 8.6 or something.
It is.
Yeah.
Yep. He had he had the choice to either let the fish go after he waded in, or keep it there on ice and and ended up killing it until DEC could get there. So he chose to let the fish go and live to fight another day.
Yeah. But it was weighed on digital scales, certified scales. And
correct.
So it's just a matter of them coming over there with their scales and calibrating it and accepting the weigh.
Correct.
So, yeah, I hope he gets credit for that because I can't imagine the conservation ones would want him to kill the fish either. So, yeah, I hope that works.
So do I. And then some Canadian team tournament, they weighed in another 30-pound bag, had 60 pounds for 2 days.
I saw some of those ABA weights that were coming in. I think it wasn't an ABA. It was some other kind of event that went on down there was it out of Morristown or out of Clayton? I don't know. It was somewhere down there. And I saw all the weights. I mean, our buddy Jody White, he had over 25 a day, and that was like fourth. So it's like, what?
Yeah. A friend of mine had 27 on Sunday, and he was like, you come in with 27 pounds of fish, and he's like, I don't know. I don't care where you fishing. You usually win in a tournament.
Yes, this is
and
true.
He goes, I come in and get beat by 4 pounds.
Yeah, that's mind-boggling. Yeah, the Dante, the guy you're talking about, he was right there at the end on that last Toyota event. And I was leading Angler of the Year going into it, and then Casey dropped that big 20. It was big then. Well, for the St. Lawrence River, it was big, 26-pound bag, and took the lead. And then I only had him by 2 points, so I needed to stay right behind him. And I hadn't weighed in yet, but then Dante weighed in, and it looked like he had a really big bag when they were bagging him. And it ended up being 23 23-3 or 23-4 or something, but I was sweating it because I was afraid he would get in between us. And then we'd have to go to the tiebreaker, which I went back and did the math, and I would have won the tiebreaker by 10 ounces had that been the case. I think he caught 177.2 for the Northern Series, and I caught 177 pounds and 12 ounces. So either way, no Dante, and everybody was talking about he's a little sleeper, and he was solid for sure.
Yes. Yeah. Kid's what, 22 years old maybe?
He looked young.
Yeah. He just one of my friends coached him in college, coached fishing at his university so it was exciting for him.
Yeah, he's working on his beard game, it looked like.
Yeah. Now you trimmed down a little bit, didn't you, from a couple of years ago?
I try. Yeah, it gets out of control. And my wife's like, you got to tame that thing or something. It can start to curl out and stuff. And so I try, but.
All right. But one thing I realized is this is your second Toyota Angler of the Year. I didn't realize you had another one.
It is. Yeah, I had one down in the Southwest Division, and now I got one in the Northern Division, which I guess is not very common. Apparently I'm the only second angler to do it since they started keeping the records since 2004. So, I don't know. Kind of makes me feel a little warm and fuzzy inside to know it's not that common.
I can understand.
Yeah. So maybe we'll get lucky and we'll go hit some other division up and have 3 good events. Then we can get 3 of them.
Well, you're definitely a well-seasoned angler, and you can catch them anywhere.
Well, thank you, John. I don't know if that's true, but I try to catch them everywhere.
Yeah. Barking Guru says, "Look at that rack. Very nice, buddy."
Yeah, I strategically picked this spot just because it's really got the best background. When my wife and I decided to sell our home, we said we had a beautiful home we built, and I quit my engineering job and she quit her job in healthcare. We sold our home, and all the deer that were on my wall had to go somewhere, so we put them here at my dad's. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 shoulder mounts in this living room, and it's cool to be in here if you're a deer hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your wife didn't want them in the camper?
The walls aren't the same in a camper. You really can't mount things. They're very heavy. If they won't stay on there with double-sided tape, they probably ain't going to stay there. So.
No, they're not. They're not. But
yeah, all that being said, I did go by a camper. I was on Smith Lake in Alabama, and I went by a camper, and it was a guy that lived by himself. And somehow he had a full shoulder mount mounted in there. I seen it. It was like at night. He was in there watching TV, and his lights were on. And not that we were snooping, but we were just walking. I was like, there's a deer mount in that camper, and you can see it plain as day. So he figured out a way to hang one, but you couldn't hang many.
Yeah. That's incredible, though. But for those of us who don't know that much about you, do you want to talk about some of your experiences?
Sure.
Try to get to know you?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't get into bass fishing tournaments at all until I got out of college. My dad has loved fishing. He bass fished with a partner in tournaments before I was born. And when I got born, he kind of quit doing that. And he'd just take me around to ponds and stuff. But I grew up basically crappie fishing, heated crappie docks with my dad and grandma, and then catfishing below dams and, just bank fishing and ponds and stuff. And so when I got out of college, I told Dad, hey, you want to go in halvesies on a boat? And so we bought a used boat when I got out of college with my engineering degree. And we did. We split the payments. It was like $100-something a month for each of us. Total payment was $200 a month. We bought an $8,000 boat, and it was a 98 Pro Craft is what it was. And bought it and started fishing little tournaments together around the local lakes here, which would be like Fort Gibson Lake, Grand Lake, Eufaula, Keystone, 10 Killer. So we just did that, and I got more into it, and then we upgraded from a 98 Pro Craft to a 2000 Ranger, and did more fishing. And I'd saved a little money in my engineering job. And I said, hey, you care if I use our boat to go fish at that time it was the Costa Series. You care if I use our boat? I want to try this Costa Series. It had 2 Oklahoma lakes, Grand Lake, Fort Gibson. Then it had Sam Rayburn on it. I've never been to Sam Rayburn. I heard it's a great place, fun place to go. And he's like, yeah, sure. So I took the boat and I went and won Angler of the Year is what I did. I went out there and And I was punching mats at Sam Rayburn, and I'd never punched mats, and I was addicted to it. I thought it was the funnest thing in the world. And I've never got to punch mats again at Sam Rayburn. The conditions have never been the same. They've never been stacked under the hay grass like they were that year. And I thought it was something I could just go do every year there, but it's never been the same. And then came on there and had 2 good events. Had a second place here. Anyway, so I won Angler of the Year there, and that just lit the fire more than ever. And then I got invited to fish FLW Tour, and I didn't think I was going to be able to do it. At first, I said, yeah, you mean I get to fish that now? I'm like, I'm in. And then they're like, well, we need an $8,000 non-refundable deposit in 30 days. I go, wait a minute, what? I was like, it's not free, you know? Like, I don't just get to go fish and be on TV. And I figured out it was going to cost me a lot more money than my wife and I could justify risking to our early marriage, early careers. And a man by the name of Jimbo Taylor. James Taylor's his name. He goes by Jimbo. It's a really cool story, and I owe it all to him. I would not be here right now. I would not have kept fishing without him. We had a mutual friend, and he knew about me qualifying for the tour, but probably not going to do it because I didn't have the money. And he had a dream, and in his dream, God told him he was supposed to help me chase my dream, and he had not even met me yet. So he went out of his way to figure out a way to meet me. And he was in Oklahoma City. I was working my engineering job in Tulsa. He met me at my engineering job, took me to lunch, and we got to know each other over lunch, came back to lunch. And he said, I really want to help you do this. And he said, I don't want nothing. I don't need nothing. I don't have a business for you to promote. It's literally, I just want to help you. And he said, would $10,000 get you there? I sat there, and I'd already done the math 20 times over, you know, and I decided that I would do it. That would do. I could risk a little bit because I had won about 23 grand that year. And in my mind, I needed to get to like 40 or 50. And I think that year the entry fees were only 28.5. I would love to go back to the 28.5 for 7 events. 7 events, not 6 for 30 or 35. But anyway, so I said, yeah, I think that'll do it. Thank you so much. And he got out of his checkbook, a really awkward moment, and he's writing me this check, and I don't deserve it. And he hands me a check for $20,000 instead of 10. And he said, I want you to chase your dream, man. And I don't want you to worry about whether that's enough or not. So is that enough? And, chills up and down me. And he said the one thing about it is God, Philippians 4:13 just has to be a part of it. Something in his dream, he kept seeing Philippians 4:13. And so you'll see Philippians 4:13 on my truck, my jersey, my boat every year. And I told him, I said, I never want to ask another dime from you. If I can't figure out the sponsor game and how to do this on my own, I don't want to do it. And I said, I hope we're friends forever, but I promise I will never ask for another penny from you. And I haven't. And we talk to each other regularly. I've never asked him for another dime. He is still the only reason I'm getting to do what I do because he pushed me to that first year and got me there. And so I owe it all to him. And since then, I got my teeth kicked in early. And requalified. I finished 3rd in the Angler of the Year. The next year on the Toyotas, the Coasters, got back in. And ever since then, I've slowly started to learn all the cool fisheries in the U.S. that we go to, and I've gotten a little more confident as I go. And then this was my best year yet.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. Well, we have a stranger coming in. My co-host Rob.
He made it.
Hey man, had a little technical difficulties, but we got through it. So, hey man, congrats on the win, man. That's awesome.
Thanks, dude. Good to have you.
Hey, man, good to have you, man. That's awesome, man. We was thrilled to see you. Well, we knew it's short. It's coming for you, so that was awesome.
Well, my wife and I, we always talked about it. She always said, are you ever going to get it? Like, I know you're going to get it, but when do you think you're going to get it? I was like, I have no idea. Maybe I never will. You never know. So it was, I think she was a nervous wreck just as much as I was.
Oh, man.
Feels good to get it behind us. And then we turned around and almost won the next one, So who knows? We'll just see what happens.
Yeah.
Heard that, man. Riding that momentum.
Yeah, I tried. It kind of was a buzzkill. I went to the Detroit River really very next immediately. Went to ICAST on a high, came back, went to the Detroit River, just fishing happy. And I fished well, just never got the right bites. And I was like, well, that momentum train died quick. And then we went to the St. Lawrence River and then almost won that one. Could have won that one if Casey wouldn't have caught that really big bag on the last day. We finished second, but
that's not bad. That's not bad.
Casey's a stick now. Casey.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt.
Yeah. Scott Knoll has a couple questions for you.
Okay, Scott, thank you. I see the phenomenal year. Thank you, Scott.
Yeah. 2 questions. Number 1 bait that was responsible for your Angler of the Year. And curious if your goal is the BPT or Elites and why.
Yeah, that's a really good question. The number 1 bait one I'll try to address first. That's a really tough one because the Angler of the Year consisted of the Potomac River, which obviously it didn't have any of the same baits that participated at Champlain and the St. Lawrence River. So, I leaned heavy on the Potomac River. I caught a lot of fish on a booyah pad crasher for sure. One of the biggest fishes and the coolest fish catch I caught. I came back with 50 pounds of grass with it. And I literally had to walk to the back of the boat because I finally got it out with the mat. And I was just dragging it. And I walked to the back of the boat as my conger netted everything. And but the Potomac River, between that and I was throwing a wacky rigged yum dinger around some docks, on a particular tide where they were set up good, But when you start talking about Champlain, I was Demiki rigging. I had a few different minnows, but the Yum Sonar minnow, the 5-inch, the bigger one. The thing at Champlain I figured out over the last couple of years is the bigger baits work better for those fish once they get post-spawn. It seems to isolate the bigger smallmouth, and that's what you got to have at Champlain. You can catch 15 pounds all day long at Champlain, and I finally figured out I got a few more bigger bites each day, and that's all you really got to do to separate yourself there, throwing those bigger baits. That bigger 5-inch profile sonar minnow was really key there. And then when we got to the St. Lawrence River, I got my hands on a cool bait at iCast, and it was a jerk bait. And I love throwing jerk baits. And so I won Champlain, go to iCast, and one of my sponsors is Pradco, LureNet, and they have a pretty big umbrella of baits underneath them.
Yep.
But their Booyah lineup came out with that flashpoint jerkbait.
Yep.
And I love jerkbait fishing. And I've been a mega bass guy. That's kind of been my go-to jerkbait. But I've liked several jerkbaits. But I've been a mega bass guy forever. And I've been waiting for something that was a brand I could really promote, And so when they showed that to me and I felt it, I could tell it was heavy. It would cast good. And it looked really good. And I loved the concept. There's a diamond-shaped blade.
Yep.
It's kind of engraved on the head of the bait. And you could just spin it, there at iCast. You could see in the room and the light would hit it. And I was like, that's going to flash for sure. So let's see what it is. So I get to St. Lawrence River and I've only got 3 of them that they gave me at iCast that I flew home with, and I tied one of the colors on that looked the best to me. And I'm not exaggerating. It was one of the first few casts that I made with it. And I caught a 6-pound smallmouth on it. And not only did it catch a 6-pound smallmouth on it, but it jumped 7 times and it didn't throw my bait. And I'm like, that's one of the biggest things with jerkbait fishing. If you love jerkbait fishing, you try to figure out a pair of treble hooks or a set of treble hooks that you can trust. Yeah. And I've gone through years of I trust them. Oh, I don't trust them no more. Let me try a different hook. Oh, I trust them. I don't trust them no more. So right off the bat, I developed all kinds of confidence in the bait. So I had that in my back pocket. So jerkbait caught on day one. It caught one of my 6-pounders. I waited 2 6-pounders on day one. It caught one of my 6-pounders and 1 or 2 of my other key ones. And then the other bait, I was throwing an umbrella rig. And then I would throw a drop shot with a drop shot with the Great Lakes Finesse, the drop minnow. That came out one that's a little bigger, a 3 3/4 inch one. And so if I saw an isolated boulder down there with a school of fish, I'd throw the drop shot at them. If otherwise, I was literally just throwing the A-rig to try to draw fish to show me them, and a lot of times they would commit. But if it was shallow water, I was throwing the jerk bait. So it was really a kind of a 3-punch deal on the St. Lawrence River. So sorry, not one bait. There just wasn't one bait. I wish it was. I wish I could just say I caught them all on a jig or something. But I didn't. And then my goal, the BPT or the Elites, and why. Currently, my goal is the BPT. I've been fishing with the FLW tour that, got bought and, got acquired, and then it became MLF. And that's the platform I've been on. I haven't made a strong effort to leave. I love a lot of the people at Major League Fishing, which were the old FLW people. They brought a lot of them over with the acquisition. You're talking about Kathy Fennell, Daniel Fennell, and then the Toyota guys that used to be the Costa guys, your Mark McQuaws, your Josh Pecks, your Ramies, all those guys I love them, man. I mean, they know me, they know my wife, they know me personally, and they treat people the way you should treat people. And so I enjoy fishing with them. I enjoy seeing them at weigh-ins and talking to them at meetings and all that. So I fish there for lots of reasons, but that's one of them. And I really like the people. And so currently that's where I'm at. And no matter where I am, I want to try to make it to the top. And the BPT's, now the top. I got slid underneath the BPT, didn't like it. Nothing I can do about it. If I want to keep fishing and promote my sponsors at a level that provides TV and good entertainment, then I stay where I am. And that's where I stayed. I knew trying to make a switch would be really, really difficult. And I couldn't promise the same to my sponsors regarding TV time and publications and all that. And so I stayed where I was. And I was happy that I had the opportunity to do it. And I'm still happy there. If I ever made the switch, I'd be all in on the EQs. And then my goal would be the elites. But currently my goal is where I'm at, and I'm just going to keep trying to make the BPT because I think that's where I'd make the most money under the MLF platform.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Aaron Wilkie says, Kyle, welcome. Are you fishing the Rumble on the River on the St. Lawrence in October?
No, I would love to, but I'm probably going to be drawing my bow back on a whitetail buck down here in Oklahoma. I'm hoping. Yeah, no, I'm not making that one. We already made the long trip back. Actually, our fifth wheel had some stuff that needed to get fixed. On the way back, I had some issues with my boat trailer. So right now we are down and out. The hitching fishing rig is down and out. The camper's at repair shop. The boat and trailer are getting stuff done. I couldn't fish if I had to right now. So
I think Aaron's breathing a sigh of relief because he's fishing.
Yeah.
Those weights they've been kicking out up there like blew my mind, And my dad was up there with me until the last day we left, and then he flew home. And we were having a blast, and we weren't going out in big water or nothing. And I just hope a lot of them weights are coming from Ontario because me and my dad were not catching 30-pound stringers in the river. I mean, we were having fun and fishing hard and all that, but good. 30. I mean, I kind of felt like I didn't know what I was doing anymore. I was kind of glad I wasn't in a tournament because they were catching some big ones.
Oh, that's giants.
James Wheatley says, I'm more of an Elite Series guy because I only catch about 5 or 6 good ones at a tournament.
Right? Yeah. I fish the 5-fish format now, and I fished 5-fish format my whole life. I did get to fish a BPT event a few years ago when they first bought us. They were letting in, if you had a top 4 finish in the Pro Circuit is what it was called then you got to fish the next BPT because they were 4 anglers short in the BPT for that 80 angler field. So I got to fish a BPT event on the Harris chain, and I loved it. I absolutely loved the stress and I got to be Bubble Boy. I had a horrible first, day one, horrible. I was down at the bottom, and on day 2, I was like, snap out of it, dude. Go catch some fish, And I picked up a rattle trap and just started burning it over hydrilla and just getting my arm ripped off. And I came all the way back up to being one spot out of making, the cut. So I moved from last to 21st or 22nd. They're like, now all you got to do is beat Jacob Wheeler, Kevin Van Dam, and Mark Daniels Jr. and you're in. I'm like, whew. I'm like, that's a list.
That's a tall order.
Yeah, that's a tall order. And so that was the whole period to go, And so it was bouncing back and forth. And I did beat Jacob Wheeler and Kevin Van Dam. Both those guys can text me right now if they're mad about me saying that because I did. But NDJ and I think Brent Ayler might have been one that slipped up in there. But anyway, I didn't make the cut. But I had such a blast doing it, and I've been dying to get back and do it again ever since. And I love catching a lot of fish. My roommates have always been like, man, you come back and tell me you caught 50 or 60 and I only caught 7, and it's like, well, I don't know, maybe I can catch a lot of fish. I've always wanted to go try it for a whole season. And see how it shook out. Yeah.
The North definitely does suit you.
It does. I don't know why, but I'm happy.
There's a lot of fish.
Yeah, there's a lot of fish. And they're all pretty big, and they're fun, and they're beautiful. And, yeah, you catch fish down here. I mean, you're scared of eating them. You look at them, you're like, ooh. Yep. Maybe I should wash my hands before I make another cast. Up there, they're just so big and pretty, and the weather and they're the people are so your interpretation or being a Southern Oklahoma boy. And the first time I went up there, all you think of is New York City, what you see, and that's not even. That's such a small percent of upstate New York and that whole area. The people are just we call it Southern hospitality down here, but they got the same hospitality up there. They're the same good down to earth people. And my wife and I 1,000,000% would live up there half the year if we could afford to buy a spot. So if you know anybody that will sell me an acre or two, let me know. I'll buy it. I would love to buy an acre or two and set up like a way to us park our fifth wheel there and park the boat. And I would love it. And she would too.
Yeah. No, I agree with you with the people in the MLF. You know, they're the reason I went back to the MLF is because, well, I was fishing a BFL tournament and got in a boat accident and ended up not being able to finish the rest of the tournament. And I'd say every couple of days, Steve Sizemore, the tournament director, called to check on me, see how I was doing.
Denise and Steve, yep.
Yep. And unfortunately, he's not in the Northern Division anymore. Well, he will be for another tournament. Next year he's going on. He has I think 5 different divisions next year.
I was going to say, I thought I saw him weighing in the St. Lawrence River this year. You're just saying next year he's going to switch?
Next year he's done, yeah. Mm. And so I'm moving up to the Toyotas again. I like the multi-day format a little better. So
where do you know where Steve's going?
I think he's going to Piedmont, maybe Shenandoah. I can't remember.
Yeah.
We quickly said it at the tournament.
Yeah.
We were talking.
Into that. I might text you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, they'll rotate them guys around. I know I fished Mountain and volunteered, a couple others, and like every 2 or 3 years they'll kind of rotate them around. So that's not unusual, but all great guys. Every tournament director I ever had, man, has been great.
Well, and Steve was our bump guy.
Yes.
Steve was the guy that bumped all the fish, and so that's how I got to know Steve. And Denise was working the computer, and so that's how I got to know Steve and Denise. And I loved Ron Lappin before Ron left. Ron Lappin, it was big shoes for Mark to fill those, and he's done a great job. And I'm just every single person that that has really been a long time FLW person. I'm just my kind of people. I've just always liked them all. So. We got to go tour the Major League Fishing facility, which was the old FLW facility last year when we were at Kentucky Lake, or earlier this year, for the Invitational stop. And it was just cool going around there, man. The memorabilia and the magazine clips and the tropes, all the stuff they got there, they go all the way back, all the way back to the beginning of FLW. It was a really neat place to go in there and walk around. If you ever get a chance to do it, you should do it, or maybe you have done it. But
I've been by there. It's pretty cool seeing where all the weigh-in trailers in the back. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's the first time I've got to go. So I wish I'd done
cool.
it.
Did you fish the Toyota on Erie when they canceled day 2 and day 3?
Did I fish? No. No.
Okay.
No, I didn't. I guess. Last year was the first time I did the Northern Toyotas. Was last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I used to fish the Costas and the Toyotas, and Steve was the bump guy there. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
James Wheatley says 3 certainties in life: death, taxes, and Mike Hale being tournament director for Mountain Division.
Oh no,
man, that's funny. Mike's a good guy. I still see. I see the old tournament guy, Mike. What's his name? I can't think of his name now. But the old tournament director for FLW, what's his name? I see him like all the time fishing stuff here at Cumberland. Bill Taylor.
Bill Taylor. Yeah.
Yeah, he's still around fishing. I see him at events at Cumberland. He kind of lives close, but I see him at Cumberland all the time.
He's a hammer at Cumberland.
Oh, he is.
He's a hammer anyway, but Cumberland, he loves Cumberland.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. You got to put a filter on Bill Taylor every now and then.
So, hey, Scott, thanks. Yeah, I had old man brain there freeze up for a minute. I can see his face. I'm like, that dude. So, yeah.
That was my memory ain't too good either. I should have known it. Yeah.
But I do have a quick Bill Taylor story. I think last time the FLW tour had Coes, it was like 2018, and it's coming to Cumberland. So I said, man, I got to jump on this. This will be my last chance. So went in as a Co, like day 1 and 2, They didn't have them on day 3. Had Marshall. So I said, well, I'm Marshall on day 3. So I come up there to get my pairing, for the day. Bill Taylor looks at me and says, Rob, I'm sorry, you got James Watson today. He apologized beforehand. That's pretty good. It's pretty good.
That is pretty good. That was a really good event.
It was, yeah. It was tough. And I think he finished 7th or 8th. Yeah, he had a good day.
Yeah, I think I finished like maybe 15th, 14th or 15th in that event or something like that. But, man, that was a fun tournament. Those fish were biting. I was catching so many big smallmouth. Oh, I would love to have like a couple opportunities back in that one for sure. But I fell in love with Cumberland immediately.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a sleeper. It's got some big smallmouth. I think it's a sleeper lake people don't realize it's got a ton of smallies in it right now.
We hit it right. We hit it so right then, because I've been back a couple of times since then. And like when you hit it, the pre-spawn just right, or when they first start to pull up and the smallmouth start spawning, it's incredible. And I know the largemouth fishing is good too, but I will never chase largemouth there unless the smallmouth just completely like disown me when I go, because there's a bunch of good smallmouth in there.
Oh, absolutely, man. There are a few spots in there too, but smallmouth is about king there now.
What kind of question is this?
What's the worst thing you've been called by your fishing buddy?
Man, I don't tend to remember things like that.
No.
Just go on by. I mean, if we put Chad Warren and Brandon Mosley on this call, one of them would probably answer that real well, but I don't want them on this call, and I don't want them to answer that.
That's fine.
I was okay. John gave him a nickname last night, but I won't go there.
Yep. Nelly Nedrig.
Yeah. Yeah, because somebody schooled him on a Ned rig a couple weekends ago.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I think what we should do, in all seriousness, I think you ought to go to the FLW management and tell them to have a Toyota Championship on Champlain.
Yeah. Well,
that'd be awesome.
The championship next year is at Grand Lake in Oklahoma.
Yes.
Oh.
And I'd say I'm excited about it. I'm not sure I know how to fish Oklahoma anymore. I mean, we came to Eufaula, a year or two ago, and I did okay, but like, I ain't gonna lie, like I'm pretty disconnected from the Oklahoma bass. I mean, we don't come here very often, so it will be nice to sleep in my own bed if I so choose. It's only gonna be about an hour and 20 minutes away, so
That's not bad at all.
I got to get there first, so you qualify first. But yeah,
I have faith in you.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm about to pull the rug out from underneath myself next year. I'm gonna fish a division I've never fished in the Toyotas.
Southeast.
Yeah. No, Southern.
Centrals?
Southern.
I fish the Southerns.
Okay.
It's 2 Floridas and Lake Seminole, and I don't know. Like, I'm probably gonna get it handed to me down there in Okeechobee and the Harris Chain or where, and then Seminole. But I want to get better. I want to get more comfortable down there, and that's what's so cool about the Toyota series is if you have the time, then you're not limited to your practice days.
Yep.
And looks like we lost John for a sec.
Oh, yeah, I think he's there. There he is. I thought he might have sneezed or something.
I had to sneeze, so I
got you.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm going to try that one next year. I think it fits better with the invitational schedule, and I think it'll challenge me in a way that will make me better as an angler. I'm still at Florida. I need to get better in Florida than what I am, or I want to be better. So,
absolutely,
we'll see. But I am going to fish at least 2 of the Northerns next year. That Potomac River, I'm not a fan of the Potomac River, and I don't think the people around there like me very much either. That every time I go, someone yells at me or they're mad at me for just parking and buying gas or something. Like I've never said anything to anybody, but the people around there have been, for the most part, it is my wife and I's kind of least favorite spot, because the Southern hospitality thing we talked about that New York has and Oklahoma has, they missed it. They missed it.
Oh, hey.
But I have met some really nice people there. I don't want to say it's all encompassing, but it's not really set up too good for people trailering boats. I mean, it's tight quarters. Yeah. Even when you try to get gas, you about jackknife yourself, or you got to hop curbs. And so you end up kind of being a nuisance anyway when you're trying to get gas, and I get it. But like, there's no place to camp for our fifth wheel. There's no good camping spots. And if there is a good camping spot, you can't park your boat anywhere near it. You have to park a boat 5 miles away in a lot that they fence up at night or something. You know what I mean? So it's not great for us.
Yeah.
So next year, the Northern Series, it's the third event, not the first event. So if I've qualified for the championship in the Southern Division down south, which will be done by like April, I'll know. Then I may just fish Champlain, St. Lawrence, and then the Invitational Championship is in La Crosse, Wisconsin, early September. And then that Potomac is after that. Like, so we'd have to go all the way back east in later September to go to a place where we can't camp. We can't, I mean, like we can, but it's a nightmare. I don't know. I made some posts about it this year. We literally got my boat into the parking spot because they weren't going to let us park there with the boat unless we could fit it in. And then we had to go park our trucks elsewhere. But we got the boat in. I literally had that much room between a tree and my fifth wheel to get my boat parked every single night in. So every single night in, my butt was puckered up so tight.
Oh, gosh.
Because it's the only way I can charge my boat.
Yeah.
Is if I successfully get it onto my camping spot. And there was no flexibility in these folks. They trained them all the way down to the 12-year-olds they had working, all the way up to the top dogs. Nobody let me do anything against the rules. And then there was only 2 vehicles per campground, but then I'd see one campground over there that had like 8 vehicles in it somehow. I'm like, why are they getting away with it? Anyway. So
the secret to that is buying 2 spots.
All right, John, you're going to be my sponsor for 2025.
Travel director
is pay for the extra spot anytime I need it. I won't ask you for any other money.
Look, I'm good
when I need 2 spots.
Hey, I'm not the angler of the year.
Yeah, well, unless you're the angler of the year every year and win one every year, you know this is a bankruptcy business.
You're right.
Oh, yeah.
If you do have a good year, you better stash it away or figure out a way to invest it and get some money back.
Before we get to Brock's question, I want to make one statement about the Potomac outside it sucks. And I remember early 2000s, it was the Red Man. And I had some friends go down there. And I want to say there was like 13 or 14 boats missing lower units the morning of the tournament.
Jeez.
People went through and took the lower units off at the one of the hotels.
Oh, they didn't lose them on the water. They got them stolen.
No.
Wow.
Yeah. They lost them to the pawn shop guy.
You're just as likely to lose them in the water. Yeah.
They still got
I hit an unmarked shipwreck the first time I was there. It looked like Jaws took a bite out of my. I mean, it literally was just clump, just bites out of my lower unit.
Man.
I'm surprised they still had catalytic converters after that.
Right?
Well, I think that's before they were mandatory.
Oh.
Early 2000s.
That's true.
But Brock wants to know what's the secret to target smallmouth when they're moving on rivers.
Yeah.
Man, if we let's just talk about the St. Lawrence River then, just because I can't think. I mean, the Mississippi River is night and day difference from the St. Lawrence River, but they're both northern rivers that have smallmouth, plentiful in smallmouth. But if you talk about the St. Lawrence River, if they're read me the question, they're just moving on the rivers.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, so for me, if they're moving on the rivers, I'm talking about shallow fish. Like the only way I really know they're moving on the rivers is if I'm seeing roamers up shallow, or you see them with your eyes sometimes there. It's the funnest place in the world to do it, but you can target them with hair jigs, Ned rigs, and jerk baits. I mean, those are spy baits work pretty good too sometimes. You can get them to come chase a topwater for sure, and sometimes commit to it. But once they show themselves, those northern smallmouth, I mean, you can kind of get them to bite. You can kind of chase them around and keep your eyes on them and kind of go through that arsenal that I just listed. And a lot of times you can get those fish to bite even after they've shown themselves and ran away from your trolling motor and stuff. The Johnstons are the best at it. You see the Johnstons find a fish, And once they show themselves to it, they will chase that fish around and throw Ned rigs and hair jigs at them and drop shots and whatever. And I mean, they will really try to make that fish mad enough to eat it. And it works. So, you know, as far as if they're moving, I've never noticed like a mass movement of the smallmouth, you know, in the river like I have like Mille Lacs, Minnesota. I got to go fish Mille Lacs one time with my dad, and he literally saw a wave of fish coming from the deep under the boat. Like he said, like 50 or 100 smallmouth pushing to the shallows to spawn, you know, like I've never seen any big waves of that happen on the river. Now I hear pretty big waves of them happen out there at the mouth of Lake Ontario, you know, in the spawning bays and stuff. All of a sudden you'll just see roamers everywhere. But yeah, I hope I'm answering the question, Brock.
Yeah. Here's one for John.
Kyle, John says there's no place like Gunnersville.
There's no.
I mean,
oh boy!
I don't know if there's an inside joke here or not, but I agree. I think Gunnersville. I think Gunnersville has to be in the top 3 largemouth fisheries in our country right now in the United States. I mean, it's just shelling them out, not just seasonally either. I mean, like the entire season, it's shelling them out.
Yeah. Now the story behind that is I went to the Toyota Series championship years ago on Gunnersville.
Okay, there is an inside joke here. Okay.
Yes, there is. And I was throwing a frog, and I was bound and determined to catch fish on a frog. I'd have him hooked up, but I couldn't get him to the boat.
Yep.
Was this a November tournament? October, November? What was this?
October.
Yeah. This one Kyle Hall won?
Yeah. No.
Or maybe. No? Okay.
Guy from Florida won it.
Okay.
I can't remember. I fished with him on day one. He's like 6'8", 6'9", tall guy.
No. Okay.
Jeez.
Yeah. Scott Noel wants to know fall bait on the Tennessee River.
1
ounce jig will fall.
Yeah.
I guess it depends which you're talking about. I mean, the Tennessee River has got all of them. You're talking about the Pickwick, Nickajack, Gunnersville, the whole 9. I mean, if it's grassed out in the fall, which a lot of those fisheries on the TVA are, frog.
Oh yeah.
Come on, John. I have your back on that. Like a frog in the fall. Yep. If you had to just have one bait in your hand on the TVA, as long as the grass is up and topped out in places, it is a great way to do it. Because if you go to the fall, if you go anywhere else in the world in the fall, you know, walking bait is phenomenal for the most part. I mean, they're getting that fall transition, they're chasing bait, they're pushing it back. So covered in grass, the frog's basically a walking bait. In the grass. Yeah. So I'm not fish Pickwick in the fall. And I know Pickwick has grass in places it doesn't have. I think they keep killing it. I've heard. I think they keep killing it. So I don't. Jerk bait and the topwater are my 2 favorite baits in the fall. A square bill crankbait can be phenomenal too. But if you've got grass topped out, and a rattle trap. Good heavens!
Oh yeah,
the rattle trap can do some damage in the fall, especially on a lake like Pickwick. I've not fished Pickwick in the fall, but I've fished Gunnersville in the fall.
See, my motto is anything with a treble needs to stay on top of the water.
Yeah. I love throwing a trap and a jerk bait, but I love them topwaters too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's hard to be a topwater bite. The last couple of weeks, the thing square bill for me has been spot on. I went to a little lake here close, my kayak, and caught a 4.5 on a little, like the Big O, little bitty square bill Big O, and it wrecked it. I mean, she choked it. It's
really tough to beat a good square bill. If you have a good body of water where it just lends itself to it, you know, shallow rock, shallow cover. I mean, when I told you I grew up pond fishing. And dude, a Tom Man baby 1-.
Yep.
Tom Man's baby 1-. If that pond had a log on it anywhere, I could roll it over there. And I was so confident I was going to catch the biggest bass at that pond because it happened so many times. I'd catch a great big one on it. And I remember the first time I got to fish a bass tournament, my neighbor down the street he knew that we liked to fish, but we met at a crappie dock. We were all fishing a crappie dock, catching crappie, putting crappie in a basket or whatever. he said, man, I need a fishing partner. And I said, where are you fishing? It's this little lake here in Oklahoma, Claremore Lake, Little City Lake. And they have these little jackpots, and it drew like 30-something boats. In fact, they cut it off at 40. You'd get in line to fish the tournament, and you could tell if you were behind the third set of bathrooms, you weren't going to get to fish the tournament that night because there was a max occupancy or something on the lake. They wouldn't let you have more. Anyway, I said, is there shallow wood on it? And again, I've not fished out of a bass boat in a bass tournament ever. And he goes, oh yeah, there's wood, there's beaver dams all the way up in the creek arms. I'm like, oh yeah, we'll win it, man. I got the bait. You know, I'm transferring my pond, what I know about pond fishing, thinking, oh, it's easy. Let's go to a lake and do it. Well, he takes me out, and we go out, and I've got a spinning rod with my baby 1-minus, my favorite baby 1-minus. And I got like 15-pound line on it. And he takes me back. I was like, oh yeah, dude. I caught one almost 8 pounds. I caught a 1/5. Anyway, we won. It was a 3-fish evening tournament, and we won. And we could have only weighed in 2 of them. And I was like, man, wow, this bass fishing is easy, you know. And I mean, we ended up not being like that every time we went. But he was convinced that he's like, oh my gosh. So he went and bought all these baby 1-minuses, and that's all he threw for the rest of. I've known him forever. I don't think he ever threw another bait after that. He was convinced that was the bait for him. But the old little shallow crankbaits, man, they kill him.
Oh yeah, this time of year, it's pretty awesome. Definitely
used to be a great bait on Potomac in the spring.
Oh yeah, just find some just some rock, any rock you can find.
Or
imagine don't go through the shipwrecks very well. Those shipwrecks pretty much just break everybody's line.
Oh yeah.
So Brock has a question for Rob. What's the #1 seller at Pittman Creek in October?
Just guessing. I'll go ahead and guess. I'll say a fluke. Fluke is red hot. I mean, big worm is hot right now, but fluke season. Some top waters, but I'd say a fluke. But I'll double check that. We got a way to run reports, so but just guessing that right now, I'll say a super fluke.
That's interesting. Do you have like most of your consumers? Do they come from a region? Like, you know, you say fluke, and you know, I think of like Hartwells, and I think of like Green Lakes and stuff. Like, do you have a lot of your consumers based kind of there? Like, or is
no? We're coast to coast. We're like the #1 wholesaler, and you know, we're a wholesaler to dealers and tackle shops, but I say a fluke, but I'll double check that because I think white pearl flukes, we got like 8,000 of them or whatever stock. So
yeah,
usually you see that many in stock, you know, hey, that one's going to move.
Such a diverse bait. Like we talk, I mean, I used to throw a sluggo.
Yeah, I did too. Yep.
The old red and black, red shad colored sluggo. That's my dad's.
Black and gold, black and silver.
Yeah, black and gold, black. But I mean, like, it's such a diverse bait. You can just take your kid fishing to a pond with a fluke, and they're not going to get hung up, and they're probably going to catch more fish than anything else you throw. It'll catch a bullfrog on the top of a lily pad too. You know, like it is really it is pretty a diverse bait.
Yeah, you do. You know, spinnerbait trailer, Carolina rig. Just put a hook in it. You know, top water, like walking like a spook. I mean, it's.
Yeah.
Chatterbaits. I know some guys put it on chatterbait, but it's really versatile.
Yep. Yeah, you put the weighted hooks in them now too. Obviously, that got me.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
All right, Kyle, you ready for a tough question?
Uh-oh.
Oh yeah.
All right. What's your favorite homemade cookie?
I got probably oatmeal raisin with white chocolate in them. Miranda's mom makes this white chocolate oatmeal raisin. It's really good. But my little sister and my nieces made me chocolate chip cookies this weekend when I visited. And they're right there. They're so good too. So I like them both, man. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, my wife's a baker, and so that's the one question. We used to have a podcast, her and I, a couple years ago. And that's the one question she would ask. And I tell everybody, if I want to sleep in my bed tonight, I need to find out what your cookie is.
And then like snickerdoodles, like if I get a good snickerdoodle, I can really hurt my stomach on those. Like it's got to be soft. I can't stand it when I get a snickerdoodle and just crumbles all in my beard. Like I want it soft and kind of almost not even cooked, I guess.
You like it where you can bend them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah.
It doesn't break. Yeah, like a college football defense team. Like, yeah, it's got to be just bend, don't break. I like it.
There you go. All right.
But hey, one quick question. We're gonna have talk about your sponsors. What's your favorite Kistler rod? Like your one, if you had to have one rod, go to the lake. What would you have?
I mean, if you had to have a do-it-all rod, then it's going to be, like I don't even want to say 7-foot medium heavy Kistler helium. That's what it would be. But my favorite rod this year, somebody asked a question about, what number one key bait. But if I looked across my entire season, a jerkbait was the biggest player for me my whole year. I caught fish on a jerkbait probably every single fishery I went to, maybe with the exception of one or two, maybe. I'd have to stop and think about it. But it's my favorite thing to throw. And Kistler, they had changed their blanks recently, and they switched over, and they've got this 7-foot medium helium. And you hear everybody say it's the lightest, it's the strongest. Man, I'm telling you, it is so feathery light, and the whole rod bends so good when they start taking it and loading up on it, and it almost behaves like a glass rod when you're fighting them. But it's not. It's not. It's a graphite rod, and the modulus on it's just so perfect for a jerkbait. But if you're a jerkbait fisherman and you do like I do and you fish all season, a 7-foot medium action Kistler helium, I got 4 of them. The second I found one, I got 4 more.
Oh wow!
You never know when something comes up and the blanks have to change and this and that. I'm like, I want to have a stash of these rods. So that's my favorite rod.
All right.
What's your favorite lake?
Champlain.
I can't blame you there.
Wow, there you go.
Rob.
Yeah, I mean, I got my only big win there. Before then it used to be Fort Gibson here in Oklahoma. Yep. I had 2 seconds there in the Costas, and one I tied for first place. But by tiebreaker rule I lost. So I had the same weight as first. So I got second place money, which back then I would have qualified for the boat money, and so it was like a $60,000 or $70,000 difference, and I was like, "This hurts a lot."
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Ouch.
Gibson, which they probably won't bring many tournaments back to there because people complain about it not being big enough. But I liked it there. They had 2, and I got second, and in both of them. And but yeah, it does. Champlain's right there. Champlain's got my only win. We love it. Champlain's my favorite.
Maybe we should complain about Potomac, lack of amenities and stuff. Maybe they'll stop going there.
Well, so I say all that, but actually they were working on building some sites there in Smallwood last year, and I think some of them were completed this year, but they weren't completed when we went to book them.
Okay.
So if we did go back there, I think, but it's a really not. They didn't make enough of them. You know what I mean? Maybe there's 15 or 20 of them or something. Which when you have 170, 100, I think there was 190 boats at that tournament this year that could, or something like that. A small percentage of those guys that bring their truck campers and stuff, I mean, those are going to be booked up.
Right. Because if you...
Yeah, but then how do you save some for later?
Yeah, that's true.
Good question. All right, Kyle. Hey,
yeah,
we appreciate you coming on, talking to us. It's been a pleasure. It's been a treat for me. I'm a New York guy. I love hearing about Champlain, St. Lawrence, But we want to give you time to talk about your sponsors and people who got you here. And
everybody's going to sign off now. Nobody wants to hear this part.
No, they'll all be tuned in.
Yeah, well, I already talked about my good friend Jimbo. That's the whole reason I'm here, and it's still here, So, but the last few years, I've had a lot of great sponsors over the years. But B&W Trailer Hitches, they're just killing it in the hitch space. They really are. And I'm telling you, I have toured that factory. I have met those folks. They are the real deal. They are the real deal there in Kansas. I mean, they are as good. You talk about getting a blanket crocheted by a grandma. I mean, that you're basically getting at the equivalence of a trailer hitch. When those guys need something over there, they find scrap metal and they build tables so that they can build the next cool part they think of. I mean, it's literally just a bunch of good old Kansas boys and girls just welding and talking and laughing and just, dude, it's a really cool place, and it's huge. It's like the inside of it's like, I forget, like it's miles. It's square miles. Like the building is like
Wow.
the building, not square miles. The building is like 17 acres or something. It's not square miles. It's like 17 acres or something. The inside of the building, it's huge.
Dang.
They've got some really cool stuff in there, but the people are so nice and genuine. So I love B&W Trailer Hitches and all they stand for, and I hope their products keep killing it. I've been with Lowrance and Kistler forever. Some of my new ones, like the Epoch lithium batteries, that's a great company out of Atlanta, Georgia. They really got a cool product, and they've got a small, tight-knit team. Some of those guys call them the X-Men. I mean, they're all so uniquely different. And if you sit down and got them all together, you're like, how did you guys come up with this cluster of people? But you've got chemists and salesmen and all this stuff, and none of them are the same as the other, and they make a great team. Bubba's a big sponsor for us here the last couple of years, and another great, everybody knows the big Bubba knives you could just knock the side crappie with right through the ribs, and they've obviously evolved into bigger space in the game, and their Bubba scales are so incredible. I'll forget a bunch of them, but they're great. They're great. LureNet, go to LureNet for sure and use my coupon code Cortiana15. Buy some of those Flashpoint jerk baits, any Booyah Pad Crasher. My last name 15 gets you 15% off there, and they're cheaper there than anywhere. You go to Bass Pro, wherever you go, like you get them cheaper at LureNet with my coupon code. You can get them anywhere, so you might as well get them there. You can shop all their products in one spot without getting off your couch.
Yeah, and they'll have special colors too. You only get through LureNet. I've seen them. Do email blasts. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they make 300 of each of these colors, and they are. I get on there, and I'm like, oh man, they came out with like a spook, like a spook junior or something. I was like, oh my gosh, I want 5 of those, and they come out with these deep diving Normans. That's what I said. They got such a cool umbrella that they can bring back some of your favorite bombers and your fat-free shads and all that, and they do these cool paint schemes. Frank just kills it. Yeah, you need to. If you're not subscribed to LureNet, you ought to at least get subscribed to it so you can see those cool colors he spits out. And some of those old-timey baits you probably used to throw. It's real neat.
Absolutely.
And for you husbands out there, make sure you do it when your wife's not around.
Yeah.
Tip from John.
Talk about Barb. So you need to have me back on, John, so we can talk about Barb Elliott and
I would love to.
And all that.
We didn't get a chance to do that, and I don't want to hold you up any longer because you're probably hungry.
So my dad's done ate it all in there. My dad.
Uh-oh.
Hey, there's a couple pieces of venison behind you.
I know. Yeah, so that's my biggest buck I've ever killed right
Ooh, there. Nice.
Meaningful one to me. So I was happy to put him in the background.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well, Kyle, thank you very much. I'll get with you later, and we'll try to book up another show during the winter when you're after you get your whitetail.
Yeah. I'll have one right here. It'll be bigger right in the middle here somehow. Yeah.
There you go. And Scott Knoll says, good luck next year, Kyle, and be gentle taking his money.
Thanks, Scott. I appreciate it, man. I'll be gentle.
All right, buddy. Take care.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, see you, buddy. All right.
Later, Rob.
All right, see you, buddy. Man, what a great guy, man. He's killing it.
I wanted to get in and talk a little bit about Barb and fizzing and stuff like that, but as you say, time flies.
Yeah, it flies.
All right, folks. Thank you for tuning in all week. Let me look on my phone here if I could see it. I got those old eyes coming. Next week we have Terry Sindrick, Mike Mueller, back-to-back AOIs.
Yep.
And from California, Mark Pilgrim.
Good lineup.
Yeah, Mr. Wickedweight Tungsten.
Yep, great. Looking forward to that one.
Yes. Everybody be safe. Have a great weekend.
Let's see, we have something tomorrow night, don't we?
No, he has to work.
Okay.
He had to work. So I went.
We'll get him.
We'll get him. But thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate it. Anything else, Rob?
No, just I know the hurricane's supposed to come up through Georgia. It was going to come over us. Now it's going to go toward Georgia and Bowling Green. But I'll be on Cherokee Lake this weekend fishing my last super tournament, and I'm 24th in points. So hope I have a good finish and go to regional.
All right. Well, hey, good luck. Be safe. Don't let your vest explode on you.
No, I'm wearing a regular. It's gonna be pouring rain on me like all day. So I got my regular life vest already lined up.
All right. Well, you take care. Everybody take care.